What is good, gang? What is good? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Back. Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back, friends. Sorry, welcome back. It has been so long since I've sat here. Few months. I did not expect so like I knew I wanted to take a break, right, and do other things. But I don't know, like taking a break and then coming back to it. It always feels like, and this is my second time breaking away from it and coming back. And I don't know, it just always feels like, a baby, like I'm coming back to my baby in a sense. And I have a lot of things to share with you guys, and I wanted to start it off by just saying we are back, season 3 in this mug. So bow your heads. You already know, bow your heads, close your eyes, open your hearts as we go into prayer. Father, thank you for another opportunity to be before your people on tonight. Lord, whoever this is for, even if I'm just speaking for myself, thank you, Father, for the opportunity to do it. And I ask that you would bless my mouth, Lord, and that you would shine through me, and that you would speak to your people through me, Lord, that something I can say can help encourage somebody or to give them a peace of mind and to see you above anything else. And so, Lord, I ask for your strength and for your boldness and your courageousness, and asking for blessings upon those who may be watching or listening. Lord, that you will fill their days and their nights with peace, that you would hold their hand, and, Father, just continue to be that best friend to us all. And Lord, all these things I thought to ask for but didn't, I ask you granted your grace. In Jesus' name I do ask and pray. Thank God. Amen. All right, babes. So, a lot has been happening, okay? A lot has been happening. It is so crazy how I guess time works and like time moves. And I say that because the next time that I break from this, so after I finish up the 10 weeks here, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going into like my first year of doing content on YouTube. And so like it's crazy to think that, like another season has passed. Like obviously a season has passed, but a season in my life has passed. It feels like it's coming to an end and has come to an end and is going into a new season. And so just a few updates I wanted to tell you guys about. I know there's like 3 of us here, but the updates for the ones watching, um, on TikTok, I started a series called Chaotic Karaoke. Um, it's just a little funny series, a little like I guess light humor about like me being chaotic and like I guess relating to people who also has done random things, because you know how it is when you want to vibe out to karaoke jams, you're a little loose. So I have that going, and then of course I am still keeping up with face paint makeup looks, and I'm doing more like digital edits and just playing with a lot of stuff. So if you want to check out my TikTok or my Instagram, that is at Dohi Sama. I post reels, I post more reels, and I'm still really trying to find my footing, but honestly, I'm posting everything that I feel like the Lord is giving me to do or like okays me to do. I go for it, and just it is just so funny to, I guess, once again think about the fact that I'm about to say like I have a year worth of content under my belt. Like that is wild. So anywho's TikToks. I wanted to say, I know I've talked on here before about like my weight loss. Um journey, and I'm going to play you a little clip that I actually uploaded to my Instagram.
Imagine the day they see you again, and you are just, well, better.
So, yes, I want to say it is officially like 60 pounds that I've lost. So, this is like my way to reassure somebody you can lose the weight. I didn't have no surgery, I didn't cut out anything from my diet, really. I mean, well, I have cut back on like soda a lot and sweets, but sometimes, excuse me, occasionally when I go out, I might want a burger and a Coke or Dr. Pepper, and I still get my burger and my Coke or Dr. Pepper. Like, if I want a honey bun or if I want cookies, you can believe that I'm gonna go for it. But really, though, I work out. I've been working out consistently with my best friends. Well, yeah, my best friends, my babes, my mom and my sugar cookie, my besties. We've all been working out with each other and just trying to encourage each other. And honestly, it is so funny because the body that I'm in now, which I'll get more into this particular part on a Pox perspective. So you should check that out on Saturday. Shameless promo. But to be able to be where I am now and to just you know know that the Lord truly gave me something I wanted for years upon years. It is just incredible because we're doing the work together, but he's honoring something I wanted. And it feels so incredible to just look at myself and look at where I've come from and to be proud of not having to, like get surgery or feel like I had to diet and eat greenery for the rest of my life with nothing else. Greenery is good. Eat your vegetables, kitties. So there's a lot of more stuff that I do want to update you guys about. And like I said, I will be talking about it a lot on like a Pox perspective. One thing is I'm 27. Hello, you're looking at a 27 babe right now. Like I know I still look like I'm 17, but don't rain on my parade. But yes, so if you want to hear about like updates with all that, I have some heavy stories to share on there, kind of like some things I've realized. And yeah, you know me. I like to cry. I like to get it all out and bombard you with the feels. That is what we're here for. So, without further ado, tonight we are going to be discussing the book of Exodus. And now, okay, my pastor was seriously getting on to me about some stuff, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one in the congregation, but he was saying some things, and I was like, you're absolutely right. But one thing he said that I wanted to relay here is because I know I'm guilty of it, when I've titled things before, in the real Bible stories, I've said, well, like, I'm Jonah or I'm Peter, and I've made those cross references, and the pastor had to remind me like these are not their stories. These are the Lord's stories, but they are who he chose to use. So I guess, just going forward, I'm still playing with the titles really and trying to see what it is I would like to title stuff anyways. But just please always keep in mind, that these are God's stories and he just chose his children, to show his glory. He wanted to be in a companionship with us. And so, he chose people who were the least of the least, people who were not qualified to do great things. He chose them for great things. And that conversation even comes back to what we're talking about tonight. So we are going to be in the book of Exodus, and I'm briefly gonna jump over somewhere else. But okay, so to start this off, I have watched The Prince of Egypt like 2 times in the past week. But in general, The Prince of Egypt is like one of my favorite movies. Now, if you don't know about The Prince of Egypt, a short breakdown of it is really it's about the story in Exodus. It plays off of it. A lot of it is not true. Well, okay, the important things they kept true, but like for instance, Moses and Pharaoh's relationship was for the purposes of the movie. You know, just stuff like that. Um because you know, with history, people don't really know what was going on back then, and there's still lots of talk of like if his mom was her or if his dad was him, you know, just a lot of stuff. And so I referenced the movie. Well, I do Rambles and Makeup, right? And so on Rambles and Makeup, I actually this week I talk about um the movie, the Prince of Egypt movie. So if you would like to know more about that and like to hear me ramble about it, you can check out my video, Rambles and Makeup. It is the Lilia look and the Prince of Egypt title. I'm pretty sure I'll have something wild in there, but it's that one. And so whenever I watched the, and really what started me watching the Prince of Egypt is I was telling my kids about it in Sunday school, or you know, like, yeah, at church one day, because I am a children's minister. I love working with kids. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but like kids are my heart, you know, and I love working with them. And so whenever I get a chance to tell them a story, which is like every other Sunday, I try to tailor it in a way that is like suitable for kids, because they don't understand like our big language and our big grammar. And so some of them have seen the Prince of Egypt, some of them not so much, but I was taking parts of the story from the movie The Prince of Egypt and relaying the message to them. And one of my favorite things ever out of the conversation of that particular day is I was trying to get them to think about and see, like, you know, these people had all their belongings that they had to trek across this large body of water. And so I was getting to the story, like, and I was asking them, you know, could you guys ever imagine having to take all your stuff from home and, you know, like crossing the sea with it? And one of them goes, oh, but your stuff will sink to the bottom and it'll drown because of the water. And I was like, well, yeah, like in normal circumstances it would, but that's why we had Jesus, you know, and like he's helping Moses and the rest of the children cross on dry ground. So it was honestly just the best thing. It is always such a joy to, you know, tell them things like that and like bring stories down to their level, because I really didn't notice the effect I had on them or how much they loved me until, you know, parents came and told me like certain kids were mimicking my hairstyles on their Barbie dolls, you know, or they'll say something or they'll ask for me, or the children themselves, they'll ask like, are you going to be here next week? Because I want to talk to you. So, you know, it's just, if you get a chance to work with kids, I say do it, because while on one hand it can be a little taxing, there is no greater reward than to have a conversation with somebody who's much younger than you and they have such a pure and innocent view of this world. You know, children, they make things so simple. Like, you know, we overcomplicate and we overthink about things, and children are just like, bam, one, two, three, that is it. And so after I told them about the Prince of Egypt, I was like, well, let me come and watch it because it's been a minute. And honestly, it's one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite songs in there, there's this it's about the plagues, whenever, you know, like Pharaoh's heart was hardened and he didn't want to listen to the Lord, so like the Lord sent all the plagues on the Egyptians. And like that whole score, it used to terrify me as a kid, but I did like just the art style, you know, and how they showed literally how these people had to suffer because Pharaoh basically could not get it together. So, I mean, Moses, I know we've circled to him before and we're coming back. And so I just want to briefly read over a couple of things about Moses and like give you some background context about this. But as always, we're going to start out with the Bible story. So we're going to go to Exodus, right? And if you need help finding Exodus, it's literally the chapter after Genesis. So, okay, I'm gonna set you up for context here about this story. Then I'm going to read this and then tell you some more context. So, for context, why this is going on in Exodus, this is a time where like slavery was also happening in Egypt. Now, Pharaoh at the time, he was killing off all the Hebrew babies, all the Hebrew boys, because, on one hand, there is talk of like a savior coming, a messiah. That's the theme always. They always kill off babies because of that. But also because there was a fear that like the Hebrews would rise up against the Egyptians and like revolt. So Moses' mother, she puts him in this basket and she basically spares his life. Like the Lord spares his life. He goes down this stream. He is picked up by Pharaoh's daughter. But so that's what's happening right here. And like they're killing the firstborn of all the Hebrew children. So the where I want to start reading it is chapter 2 verses 1 through 10. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took a wife, a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw that he was a godly child, yes, goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and dabbed it with slime and with pitch and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrews children." Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, "Because I drew him out of the water." So the daughter, Moses' sister, she has watched him be put in this river. Like she's watching what's going to happen, right? So, as the story says, Pharaoh's daughter sees the babe and is ultimately like, "I'm going to keep you." And actually, the story was saying, and I can't remember who else was saying it too. I think I want to say my pastor was the one who said this, but his mom was able to nurse him because Pharaoh, the daughter, wanted him that bad. Now, so my Bible has like little, you can't really see it, but so like technically this part is the story, and then down here it gives you notes like about what each particular I guess chapter is saying. Like it breaks it down and gives it more reference and context. And there's also a part in here where it kind of gives you like background information about like the region and the demographic. So one thing that I wanted to read to you guys was let me see. Yes, the it's down here about. So it says the phrase "the daughter of Pharaoh" has been interpreted by many to refer to the famous Hat Hatsu Hatshepsut Hatshepsut Hatshepsut. I don't come for me, okay? Me and names just don't do well, all right? In anime reviews, they get butchered too. Queen Lady H, all right? uh so her age, her life was from 1504 to 1483 BC, considering an early date for the Exodus, since Moses would have been born about 1527 BC. This would be during the reign of her father Tutmos I, who reigned from or who was alive from 1525 to 1508. She was his only daughter, and when her father died, she became queen, having been married to a half brother, Thutmose II, which was born 1508, and he lived to, okay, 1504. After his death, 1504 BC, after his death, she had herself crowned king with full pharaonic powers, regalia, and titulary, refusing for nearly 20 years to allow her stepson, Tutmos III, who was born in 1504 and lived to 1450 BC, to rule. But there is a good possibility that Moses was reared in one of the royal harems, which were common in the New Kingdom period. So basically, Moses would have been like of royalty, because I mean, well, his adoptive dad, was a pharaoh, and his adoptive mother was also a pharaoh. So I mean, it's weird to think about. So one thing that like slapped me in the face when I was like really going through this story again was like just the culture back then. Because how are you going to marry like your half brother, or like your daughter or your father? I would just cry. I'm gonna just put that in. And I know, like, Lord, I know this is a more serious version of the podcast that I try to keep, but it is just astounding to me that like this girl really, you know, married off her half siblings, and then it's like Cleopatra, like I was so like mad that people did not want to depict her as a black woman. But then when I found out like the treachery, I was like, well, dang, Cleopatra, like we was not here for your ludicrousness. So I mean, it was just wow. Okay, but the point I am making here tonight is that, Moses, he was spared, but it's kind of crazy to think like, these people who essentially, I can't speak for the mother, but the dad at least, these people who hated him and wanted him, his people, dead, or wanted to use them, they basically took him and kept him safe. And it's just like, God's mercy and his favor, it can reach anybody in any situation, and it is just truly incredible. And so I was thinking like, before Moses left and went into the wilderness, like he probably had all this status, like he probably had just, I believe he probably was a prince of Egypt, like he would have had the best of the best because his mom and dad, quote unquote, were the best of the best, like they were the hierarchy, they were like head honchos, they were up there. So along with like me thinking about the fact that his stepmom became a king, it is just like wow. But I, even when I was watching the Prince of Egypt, you guys, I was thinking about, I always said that I want to visit Egypt one day. Like I would love to visit and just see a lot of parts of Africa. I want to visit, cuz first of all, it's one of those things where like my culture, and where I come from is so diluted because, slavery was brought to America, that I kind of want to trace my roots back and see, like where it all began. But I am also fascinated with like the pyramids and the temples, especially with as much evidence coming out like about the true skin color. And I'm not going to debate that, but with so much stuff being shed on like history now and things that were covered up, I really would like to go see the temples, but and like the pyramids and even the sphinxes. And I had to have this realization yesterday, like as cool as that stuff seems, because like I've never actually been in front of it, Can you guys imagine like having to actually be raised in that time? You know, like to have to build and work for these people who want you to build their idols. And I'm talking about looking at like 6 foot, 7 foot, and taller statues of like cat heads and, like snake heads and bird heads. Like, can you imagine seeing something like that at nighttime? Oh, I bet you it is just, to me, it's a little astounding how terrifying that may actually be to see. Because listen, I can't even watch like American Horror Story past like 10 p.m. There is no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, some animes like Junji I cannot watch that by myself after certain like time periods of the night. So just thinking about like encountering, idols that were built up like that, it is just a little nerve wracking. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I say, I always tell God, like, I want to see this and I want to see that and I want to go here and I want to go do that. And when the realization hits you, like, it's not all you think it is, baby girl. But like I say, I still want to go see it because I still feel like those things, to me, like, you can look at stuff on TV, but it's so much different when you actually go and stand in front of something and to like walk the land that my ancestors walked. It is just like really I feel like it would be such a dream come true. And so, anyways, that I just wanted to put that side note in there because I don't know if anybody else maybe have ever had that thought or not had that thought, but I had that thought and I was like, this is just wild. Okay, so the story of Moses, basically, um he grew up in Egypt, and one day he saw a Hebrew man getting struck by a guard. And so his response was to like kill the guard unintentionally. I'm going to assume, that it was unintentional, but he kills the guard. And so when he kills the guard, Pharaoh seeks him to kill him. And so he goes into the wilderness. And so I'm guessing that like this Pharaoh was like the one that he grew up with. I don't think that the mom would have been the one trying to off him. But then again, a Pharaoh, okay, roll with me because even the scholars don't really know who was who. But so Pharaoh was trying to kill Moses. So Moses goes into the wilderness, right? And he ends up getting rescued by is it Jethro? Yes, Jethro. So Jethro, I'm sorry. Like I said, I watched The Prince of Egypt, and so I'm trying to make sure like I'm actually putting facts here and not the movie because I referenced the movie earlier. But yes, so Moses is basically in Midian. 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 Okay, he ran to Midian, which was close by to Egypt. So, anyways, Moses ends up staying with Jethro, and he gets a wife named Zipporah, right, which is one of Jethro's daughters, and he starts a family with her. Now, here is where like Moses encounters, the burning bush, and he's talking to the burning bush, and I'm actually gonna take you to uh Exodus chapter 4, verses 10 is called, and I'm pretty sure I feel like I've read this before, but you know what, we're back here again because I'm gonna drive home another fact. So it says, and Moses said to the Lord, "Oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue." And the Lord said unto him, "Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say." And he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth. And I shall be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesperson unto the people. And he shall be even, and he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth. And thou shalt be to him instead of a God. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. Okay. So basically, because the way the King James version always has me like, Lord. But so basically, the Lord is trying to tell Moses to do something for him. And Moses is being like us. He's like, Lord, I can't do this. Like, you got the wrong guy. And Jesus is like, I am looking directly at you. Like, I don't know what you think this is, but I know who I'm talking to. But then Moses is like, no. Like, obviously there was some lack of communication here, like, you know what I'm saying? So finally the Lord is like, since you don't want to listen to me and what I have to say, here come Aaron gonna help you get it together, but you still gonna have to go and do your part, Moses. Like, you are not getting out of this. And so yes. So Moses and Aaron, they go back to Pharaoh, and they're trying to tell him what all the Lord has said. And Pharaoh is sitting here like, no. Okay. And so I wanted to drop down to somewhere else because, even though Moses was feeling inadequate, right? And like, I mean, it's the human in him because we cannot see who we are, you know? And I've often been told, and I believe it, that like when you are truly gifted and talented, you don't realize what you possess, And it is crazy to think like we have identity crises so much today, but all of this stuff was happening back then. It was just under a different name, under a different situation, but it's the same exact things that we face today. But Moses did what the Lord asked him to. Moses went, he was like Pharaoh, okay? He was trying to get it together with Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was like, not having it. And Moses was like, you don't understand. You're gonna do this. So, tell me. So, Moses gets the people free. They cross over the Red Sea. Pharaoh and his army, they drown in the water. And they're going into the promised land. Now that they are out of one storm, they're into another storm, okay? Because while, yes, they are going to the promises of God, these people did not want to get it together in the wilderness, all right? So they wandering around like chickens with their heads cut off because they just don't want to listen. They are so hard-headed, just like us, all right? And they are doing everything but the right thing, right? And so Moses, at one point, he, when they're getting together and getting into the land and stuff, Moses goes up into the mountains and he's like talking to God. He's the spokesperson. He wrote the 10 Commandments and everything else. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to read because, like, man, what an honor. But so it's Exodus chapter 33, verses 11. And it says, And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. So I really wanted to put that one up here because the Lord called Moses his friend. Moses did not want to get it together. And Moses was having a hard time at first believing he was worth anything ever in this world. And he was the Lord's friend. And so, with that being said, my personal story for today, the story and like I guess my revelation is so I wanted to title this message Chasing After Christ. This talk rather, and loving God while I loving God while broken. Like I say, it's been a year. It's been almost a year since I've came back home from Korea. And I know I talked about that story so much. It was a big heartbreak on me, but really in the midst of all of that, I feel like that was where I really found God for the first time in my life. Like, I've had encounters with him and I feel like I've always talked to him in my life, but to have like a real rock solid connection and like have to, well, because Korea, it was like the first time I had to just depend on him without like any questions asked. There was no second guessing him. There was no like, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't doubt him. I had to depend on him and like believe that he was with me. And even when I came back home, and even when I was so caught up in all of my, depression and really collapsing because I was falling apart at the seams, I feel like I really met my father, and when I was about 12 or 13, maybe even 14. I can't quite remember the age, but I remember this conversation like it was yesterday. It was like the Lord won't let me forget what I said to him. And right on, I shouldn't. But I told the Lord, because I knew some stuff back then. It was around an age where I first got baptized and, was really trying to understand like Christianity and the Lord and everything. But I told him that I wanted to be a woman after his own heart, like how David was, a man after the Lord's own heart. I wanted to be a woman after the Lord's own heart, and I don't think that back then I thought through what I was saying, I just was filled with so much like love and like reverence for the Lord that I knew even then I wanted to love him and have a connection with him. But with that being said, to actually be after his heart and to be searching for him and letting him govern me, it is not always easy. And even I was thinking about like, you know, uh I was thinking it is not, I was going to say it is not easy to love God, but it is not that it's hard to love him. It is easy to love the Lord. The hard part comes from the test and the challenges. How can you love him when can you love him when he allows your dreams to collapse what you think you want your dreams to be? How do you love him when there's so much injustice that may be happening to you, or like, people you see and it seems like things are going so wrong for you rather, but things are going great for everybody else. Like, how do you love him in those moments? And on one hand, I had to be honest and realize that like God, first of all, he does not cause the bad things in our lives, but because some churches and some Christians have made us believe like if you step on a rock and the Lord loves that rock, then you're out of line, buddy, and you need to repent. Like just bogus things that people make up to make you believe like if you're not bleaching your underwear every night, like the Lord doesn't see you and shine on you, and this is why these bad things happen to you because obviously you're a terrible person and all you do is sin. Well, newsflash, we all sin. None of us are perfect. There is not anybody walking on this earth right now who has not and who is not living in some form of like sin. And it could be something that they think is harmless, like they told a little lie, or like they ate too much food, common things that people don't even consider as sin, but it is still very much sin. And so, trying to understand God and really let him love me, that has been hard because I notice I shut down a lot. If things happen, I shut down, and I think that that's kind of why like my porn addiction was so bad, because whenever I didn't want to feel anything, and whenever I didn't want to think too deep about a situation, porn was kind of like my escape. I could go and watch a video and like clear my mind of what was stressing me and hurting me, and instead replace it with this filth, which did not make me feel any better, because by the time it was over with, I was like, I am alone. Okay, I don't have a man. And it was just, it was not the right remedy for what I thought I needed, and what I was searching for. And honestly, even letting God love me was such a stretch, because in a way I feel like I viewed him as, those jocks in school, like the ones on the varsity football team that like all the girls want, but you're the one nerdy girl that they're like goodbye to. I kind of felt that way to God. Like, there are so many more important people over me. Like, I'm always the last one seen in the crowd. I don't really bring anything to you. I'm just the sinner who keeps messing up. Just all these negative things. And so the more that like I tore myself down and like realized how filthy I was, the more it was hard for me to believe that like God could ever truly love someone like me. So, with that being said, one thing that I also thought would happen at this age by now was that I would be married. By 27, I wanted to have like my career established. I wanted the family. I wanted to be working on all the kids. I wanted like the perfect wedding and life, and all that jazz. And it wasn't until everything happened like a snowball effect that I realized I don't really know what love is. Like, I know what the movies have taught us, and I know, what I've wrote in my own fiction and what I've read, but that's not love. And so letting God love me. And y'all, sometimes, like, I'm not gonna go into details, but sometimes the Lord will tell me something, and my first response is, "Did you honestly just say that to me?" And sometimes, I get a little flustered, and I blush, and I mean, I am astounded by the fact that He said that, but I think I've had to think about and realize, like, you know the Lord is still a man, first of all right? And He made all things, and so when He reminds me that I'm beautiful, or that, I am seen and I am special and these wonderful things about me, it honestly kind of melts my heart a little bit, and like sometimes I'll just randomly hear like the Lord really loves you, and to me, that's the Lord reminding me, like, even in that moment when I get so caught up in my thoughts and like I'm starting to get like a little overwhelmed, it is like He calms me down. And the Lord confronted me. He was like, "You don't let me love you. You push me away. You keep me at arm's length. You say you love me, but you only let me love so much of you. And when things get too hard, or you think I can't handle things, then you push away from me as if like I'm the issue." And He's right. I have done that. I have treated Him like He couldn't handle my baggage or my brokenness. And it's more or less because I was ashamed to be broken like that in front of Him, and to just admit that I'm a wreck. I'm a wreck. I'm messed up. Like I got some unredeemable qualities about myself, I felt like, and I remember my pastor was saying, like, the Lord loves you so much that He died for you, because He would rather have a life with He would rather give His life for you than to live a life without you. And that completely like shut me down, because I had never viewed it like that before. Like I say, I think growing up I always just thought about how much of a bad person I was, and how my sin was just so bad and like so just detestable. Like I was just such a bad person. And the Lord had to slowly work on my views of love and like relationships, and what I thought all of that stuff meant, because like I say, I am completely clueless about that stuff. And so I was having this conversation with somebody a few some days ago, days ago, because I don't want to really give away the name or anything. But I was trying to ask them, how do they view God, or if they've ever viewed God as a lover. Now, I don't know, maybe this is like shocking to some people, but I'm going to say I view God as my lover because, first of all, like, Jesus is our bridegroom. You know, like he is coming back for his bride. And like, wow, yes, I do honestly know, like, I know it's spiritual, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's coming back for his church, for his bride. I don't think it's just that. Like, he could have chose a million ways to say he was coming back for us. And I do feel like if he didn't want us to view him in that light, he wouldn't have said it like that, you know, that I am a bridegroom coming back for my bride. Like he said it, you know. And this person thought that maybe I was lacking in my ideology of God, or like my relationship with him. And like I was trying to explain to them, it is not that at all. But I believe that I serve a Lord and a God who is everything to me. He's my mom, you know, he's my dad, he's my best friend, he's my sister, he's my brother. He literally fills up every role that I need. So if he can do those things for me, why can I not believe that he's also my husband? If I cannot love the Lord and see in him the characteristics that I want in a husband, then how do I know what husband to look for? You know, and honestly, when I confess that the Lord is my husband, all that loneliness that like I felt, you know, and like I didn't even know I was gonna cry. But all of the rejection I feel like I have faced from, you know, men and from boys in my life, it is just kind of eradicated and washed away. You know, like I do believe that the Lord is my husband, just like I believe he is my father, you know. And I feel like it is very important not to pervert those things. But you know, I feel like I can call him my husband, and I feel like he would prefer it, you know, when you boast in him. And when you know, I be like, sometimes I just walk around, I'm like, that's my man right there. Like, the Lord, that is my man, you know. And I would tell him, like, yep, you my husband, you my baby. Like, I knew you was my baby. And I wanted to share yesterday, I was laying down after church, and I was watching The Prince of Egypt again, and like I wanted to take a nap because I felt really bad. Long story short, it was just a rough morning getting up, and like Mother Nature was like, "You will know no peace today." And so I was laying on the bed getting ready to take a nap, and I patted this little, like this much space behind me, and I was like, "Come here, Lord, like come down and lay with me, like let me feel your love." Cause I even told him, I'm like, you're a big man, but I know you can do the impossible. Like, I know you can put your big self in this little box right here. That's how I talk to him. Not box, but like little area. And so, anyways, you know, I'm watching The Prince of Egypt because I'm just sitting here being funny. And I just feel this immense weight on my chest while I'm watching The Prince of Egypt. And, you know, in the story, they're portraying Moses and Ramesses to like have this great relationship, and they're brothers, you know. And Moses has all these gifts and all these things from Pharaoh. And, you know, the Lord reminded me, like, you are like this. Like, your dad is a king. You're literal. And like, the weight that, you know, sank on me, I knew it had to be from the Lord, because like I don't feel that weight as heavy as I do now. But like the revelation of it in the moment, to know like your father is a king, you know. Like, when people see you, they see a king in you. Like, Jesus is a king, and he's won it all. He's done it all. You know, like, I am watching this movie about a prince, but my father is a king. Like, I am a princess who Pharaoh and them thought they were. My dad is, you know. And even, you know, when he was like, even I was thinking like, my husband is a king. I can have whatever I want. Like, you know, I am entitled to it, but through Jesus, because he bought me with a price. Like, you know, he gave his life for me. And I guess entitled is kind of, I'm entitled when he has entitled me to this stuff. I mean, because it's nothing I could do, and I can't have none of this without him, you know. But it's because he bought me with the blood, and I am undeserving of any great gift. But he chose to give it to me. He chose to die for me, you know, and to stand up for me, to defend me in this life. You know, he chose to defend me before I was even born, and so I was just sitting there thinking about all of that yesterday. And then I even got to thinking about like the Lord's love is heavy. His love, it is heavy. Like I felt the weight of his love yesterday because, you know, you can't do certain things when you belong to the Lord. The Lord is like that mom, you know, they may play at the street at 10, but you're not going to play on that street at 10, you know, like you cannot do everything everybody else do because you belong to him. You know, he keeps you, he protects you, even when he shapes and molds you, even when you feel like you are going through the ringer with the Lord. Like his love is so heavy and it's so deep for you and it's so unyielding. Like there is not anything in this life that the Lord wouldn't give to you or wouldn't do for you because he gave his own life for you. And I really feel like I need to staple this in here and say this right now, but you are not a disappointment to God. When you go through things and you feel like, oh man, I'm being punished, don't think about it like that because the Lord is not out here trying to punish you. He's not trying to guilt you about anything. He's not trying to kick you when you were down. If the Lord was going to be disappointed in you, if the Lord was going to choose to turn his back on you or not walk with you, he wouldn't have died for you. When he died on the cross, he didn't just die for you yesterday. Then like, oh, you slipped up today. So, oh, that shocked him and now he doesn't want you anymore. Like, no. He died for every part of you. Everything that's messed up that you could do, he died for those things. He knows you and he sees you and he loves you the way you are. And he is with you always, even when you don't feel him, even when you don't think he is there. The Lord walks among you and he sees you and he's right there with you. And he may be like, I don't think you should do that. But if you do it anyway, he's going to be like, you, you chose to do that. And so, you know, I was also thinking, you know, like in the movie The Prince of Egypt, when Moses chose to leave in one way, like, and even then in the story, he had to choose God over the family that he knew, you know, like he had to walk away from like the rings and the rubies and like all this materialistic things to follow God. And it was after he got through his wilderness and like just the ringer that the Lord was really able to transform his life and to heal him. And you know, he called, once again he called Moses his friend, and that is just so beautiful to me, to know that the Lord, you know, says such sweet things about us and he consider us as his friends, you know. And just, oh man, I the story of Moses is such a great one, and I even love that like he got to see the Lord's face, you know, and like he never came off the mountain when he passed. Like he just went up to heaven with the Lord. And you know, I encourage you to go read Exodus if you've never read it before. It is such a really good story. And as I bring this to a close, it's so much, guys, I wanted to tell you tonight. And I'm really trying to keep it under wraps and not just like mouth vomit everything I feel. But I really think it is important, you know, like I say, for me, I felt so alone for most of my life. You know, I felt undesirable. I have always thought that like I was the issue, you know, that my beauty lacked, or that, you know, maybe it was because I was black that people didn't want to behold me. You know, to me, there was always something wrong. And the Lord had to show me like I kept you, you know, not because things were wrong with you, but because they didn't value you the way you should have been valued. And, you know, I'm gonna put this here. It's my bullet point 3, but I want to say it now. But like, The Lord chose you. You know, like God chose you. When other people don't see you, when they act like they don't see you, when other people overlook you and have walked away from you and have hurt you and have broken you, God chose you. He chose to love you. He chose to care for you. He chose to give you breath. He chose to give you another day to be alive. So you should choose Him too, because He is sweet and He is loving and He is patient and kind, you know, and He is never changing, and He will not leave you even when you think that He's gone. He is right there with you. So, 3 bullet points. The first one is God has called you. God puts a purpose in all of us, you know, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly where this is all going to end for me, because I don't know, you know, I still feel like I'm in a walking season where I don't really know where I'm walking, but at this point, I'm just following a step after the Lord the best way I can, okay? And I just believe, like I said, if He told me to do it, I am going to trust it and do it, because like He knows what it's about more than I ever will. And even if I don't see it from years until now, I just want to be obedient. But I do believe that the Lord has called us all for each a purpose, and your purpose might not be like my purpose, you know, but I would say pray to the Lord and ask Him what it is that He wants to accomplish in your life and what it is that He has for you to do. Number 2 is trust in the unseen. So I want to read this from 2 Corinthians 4:18. So it says 4:18, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not are seen are eternal. Now, Paul is talking here, and he's basically telling people, like, stop looking at your surroundings and look towards the Lord. And I guess, you know, that's my second bullet point, because a lot of times in life, and especially in this season of my life, I get so focused and caught up on what I can see, what's happening around me, you know, what people are saying they see. But I serve a man that I cannot see, but I know He there. Oh, like I know that He see me, see Him, see me. But really, you know, like, yeah. And then there's even another scripture where it say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. You know, things are spiritual. Things that we don't always understand or grasp, they work in the spirit realm, you know, which is why we should place our hope and trust in God, because He is the creator of all things and He sees everything, even the things that you can't or don't want to see. The Lord sees them all, and He will make everything right. And so the last bullet point that I want to leave you again with is the Lord loved and chose you. Above all, He chose you. You are special to Him. You are His baby. You are His wife, His husband, His son, His daughter. His prized possession is you. And He loved you so much that He chose to go to a cross and to die for you. So please be so encouraged on today that, like, you are doing so much better than you think. The Lord is not going to leave you. He is not done with you. And if He can love on somebody like me, and He can fix on somebody like me and like restore joy and life into these dry bones, I know He is with you. But really, welcome back to the podcast, guys. Like I said, I've missed it so much, and like I have so much that I want to say and so much that I feel like I've went through, but I'm trying to space it out, because if I just word vomit you on this, I'm not going to really have nothing to talk about for the rest of the videos, and it's going to carry on too long. But just know that I'm very excited to be before you again, and I'm so happy to talk about these stories with you and talk about the Lord, because that's my man. That's my guy, and like, He's been so good to me and so faithful, and He has loved on me even when I feel like I couldn't love myself, even when I thought that I was unworthy of love. He has proven it wrong, and where I have felt alone and where I have felt a hole in my heart, I truly can say like the Lord has made it better. He has made me whole. He has wrapped his arms around me and he has sheltered me even from myself. So please be encouraged. It is well and you are well. But until the next time, friends, I hope you guys have a great remainder of your week. I hope you have an incredible weekend. Temperatures are dropping and I'm so excited. But please remember, you can check out A Pox Perspective. I also have Rambles and Makeup, The Great Things I Draw, which I go to when I take a break from this, and just other content on the channel. So go check it out. Yes. If you did enjoy it, please kiss me with the like button. Please come and talk to me. You can talk to me about whatever it is you want. If you have questions, or if I don't know them, I can look them up. Or like, I ask my pastor things, I ask my parents things, because I want to know too. So let me know and I will let you know. But yes, please talk to me if you want to de-stress and put anything in the comments, or talk about any notions you may have had about God, or like what people have said to you. Let me know down in the comments below. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you'll know when I'm posting. And until next time, the Lord does love and bless you. May he keep you. I love you, and I hope wherever you are, you're having an incredible day or an amazing night. Goodbye, guys.